Hi, my name is Brice Bucher. I'm the Senior Manager of Product here at Flexware. And today we'd like to continue our conversation about intralogistics systems. When we talk about intralogistics, as a refresher, we're talking about the movement of materials within the four walls of a facility. And specifically, we want to go a little bit deeper today about some of the problems and complexities that can arise as companies start to automate and introduce emerging technology into their intralogistics systems. So let's set the stage here. We're going to have a very simple use case where a company has decided that they're ready to invest in autonomous vehicles. And we talked last time about the fact that when you purchase an autonomous vehicle, you typically kind of get a packaged system. So not only do you get the hardware, the robot or the vehicle itself, but you get a vehicle control system on top of that, and you most likely are going to have a fleet management software that's governing over your fleet of vehicles. And that's all considered to be kind of a packaged system, but if you're going to interface with that, then you're going to most likely going to do that through your fleet management software, which is kind of the way that you expose that system to the outside world. So if we're talking about creating an interface here, for our use case, we're going to assume that we have to connect that system that we're buying to an existing WMS system. For instance, we're going to do inventory moves. Every time we do a pick and a drop with our vehicle, we want an inventory move transaction to occur in our WMS system. So we need to communicate between these two systems. So the first step, as you're speccing out your systems, you're probably going to be talking to both of the providers, the provider of your vehicle system and the provider of your WMS, and you're going to be asking them about their ability to communicate with the other system. And I can almost guarantee that you're going to get the same answer from both of these systems, which is, of course, we can talk to the other system. In fact, we can talk to anything because we have an API. And you talk to the fleet management vendor, and they're going to say the same thing. We have an API. And by API, we mean application programming interface, which is kind of a fancy way of defining a specification that defines how you're going to communicate with that particular system from a software standpoint. It's your way of getting information into or out of that system. So most modern software packages include APIs, and it seems to indicate that we might have everything we need to be able to connect these systems together because we have an API on each side. So you're sort of lulled into this false sense of security that if I have an API, that I am done with the integration for my two systems. And I'm going to use a simple analogy to kind of debunk that myth and explain why that is not true, and it could be dangerous if you take that philosophy with all of your systems. So to kind of prove that point, let's take a look at a very simple application that all of us can understand and will apply to us. So let's look at a system where we have a standard power outlet and a laptop computer. And obviously, we need to connect these two systems together. You need to supply power to the laptop for it to function correctly, for it to turn on, for it to charge its battery, etc. So if we're considering these two things to be systems, now we're talking about two pieces of hardware in a sense here, not software, so the analogy isn't perfect, but I think it will illustrate the purpose of what we're talking about here. So the first question is, do I have an API on each side? And simple answer is, yeah, to some respect, I do have an API. So on my power outlet side, I have a connector type, and in this case, I need a 2 or 3 prong connector. I have a voltage that's supplied. That voltage is 120 volts. And I have a type of current that's supplied. In this case, it's alternating current or AC. So you flip over on the laptop side, do I have an API for the power input to my laptop? And the answer is yeah. But in this case, my connector type is a little itty bitty USB-C connector. My supplied voltage needs to be 20 volts. And my current type needs to be a direct current. So obviously I have an API on both systems, but we all know that doesn't equal the fact that I'm magically going to be able to get power from one side to the other. In fact, I need something in the middle. So I'm going to need, we all know, a power cable that has a connector on each end to be able to satisfy my connector type. And it's got a power adapter in the middle that's going to do my voltage transformation for me and my current transformation for me. And as users of this system, we all know, we trust that we're going to be able to take this power adapter, plug it in on each side. We know how to plug it in. The plugs are pretty self-explanatory. And we just trust that the thing in the middle is going to work the way it needs to be able to get power safely and efficiently over to our other system. And we don't have to have an electrical engineering degree to understand the science that goes into what's happening in the middle. It just magically works. We trust that it's going to work. So let's flip back over to our software side of the equation. These software systems work in a very similar manner. Just because you have an API does not mean you're going to be able to start talking between these systems. So you need something in the middle, just like our power adapter. And in software, we call this middleware. And this middleware, it's going to have connectors on it that allow you to be able to connect to and interface to each of your sides. It's going to have some intelligence in the middle so that it can do protocol conversions and translations that are necessary in order to be able to pass information back and forth. And hopefully, if it's designed in the right way, it's going to be simple to use. So a couple things here that I want to highlight before we wrap up today's discussion. So number one, API does not equal done when it comes to communicating between intralogistics systems. And number two, you have to have some sort of middleware. You're either going to be programming that from the ground up, and you're solving that problem over and over again as you roll the system out and scale it out. Or if you have the right middleware that's been purpose-built and designed in the right way, you're going to be able to have connectors to be able to talk to all your different types of systems. It's going to have some intelligence to it to be able to do all your protocol conversions that you need and handle advanced business logic. And this is maybe the most important thing, it's going to be simple to use. You're going to be able to plug this in with a couple clicks, be able to configure this thing to behave the way you want it to behave. Most importantly, just like a power adapter, I don't have to have a computer science degree or software engineering degree to understand how to use this and how to set this up. It works. It's software that works the way that you work. We're going to leave it there for today.